Today I've got something rather special. It is another radio control aircraft, a little foamy. This one is of a Spitfire, and not just any old Spitfire, but KLB, and that's a rather special little Spitfire. Here it is in the packaging, and underneath the transmitter, the props, wheels, and charger and everything else that you need. It also comes with instructions. On the box there's a bit of information about the Spitfire, and in fact it does say there are 60 of them still airworthy, and I think there's about 200 in existence. But this one is particularly special because it's the only one that's still flying that flew during the Battle of Britain. It was based in Essex, and it is a very successful model. It has even been made by Airfix in 1/24 scale. It is of course worth familiarising yourself with the instructions, and just to give those a good read, make sure it is all set up, and of course charge it up ready for flight. Underneath it is a colour which they call duck egg blue, and there are access panels to get to the servos and motor, and that's an improvement for this model. I need to put the prop and the undercarriage on. Does look really nice. Prop simply clips on. Now, I'd imagine that the battery is already in here, and yes it is. So remember how that fits in. That's how you're going to have to fit it in. It went in that way. Okay, it's tight fit as per usual with these little models. It's very nice. There's a little servo horn adjusting the ailerons. Then we've got an elevator connection there, and the rudder one on this side. Just want to play with it. I'm going to clip these wheels in, and they go slightly forward, I would imagine. So that one on that side and the other one on the other side. And I'll just make sure of that before I push them in. Yeah, that does look good with the wheels on the outside. So clip that in, and that'll give it some nice weight distribution when it's flying. That's it. It does come with a spare prop and prop mount, so they're useful. Especially as I think the three-bladed props are particularly prone to damage as opposed to the two-bladed ones. The three-bladed props were of course on the Mk1 Spitfire, and so it's the right type of prop for this plane. But of course it's more prone to hitting the ground and having a prop knocked off, although if you got the wheels on, that should help protect the prop a little. Doesn't it look the part? That's really nice actually. It's only a 400mm wingspan, and that's quite a lot of detail in a flying model. I think that's really nice. It's nicely finished, nicely sprayed. It's a foamy, that means it's made out of a foam type material, very flexible and resistant to cats and also heavy landings. And so this is revolutionising radio control flight really, because you can fly these planes and not worry too much about heavy landings. The wheels are quite nice as well. These are more freewheeling than the Sport Cub 500 wheels, so yeah, very nice. What do you think, Neon? I love this plane, I love the detail on it, so let's just pick up on some of that detail. The Browning submachine guns are mounted into the wings, are replicated by a little piece of foam detail and also a hump in the wing there. There's some nice panel lines that are nice little detail. They didn't really have to do, but they did. The Kiwi emblem, because this was flown by Australian pilot Allan Deere in 1940 during the Battle of Britain. KLB was the designation of his plane. That's lovely. And even 6 little exhaust ports, which is correct for the Mk1 Spitfire. If you made the 1/24th Spitfire, you'll recognise this one because KLB was the same aircraft that was modelled for that. And I love that model too, I've got that one. Here is the battery, single cell, 3.7 volt, and the charger it comes with. Takes normally about an hour to charge. I suggest you get extra batteries for these planes as they last for about perhaps 5 to 10 minutes, so I've got 2 on the go here. Here's the transmitter, fairly standard stuff from this manufacturer, Sonik. This is a 4-channel system, and the 4 channels are throttle, and that is rudder, then there's ailerons and elevator. You've also got little trim tabs, it seems, and here you have your beginner, mid and expert button, and that little lever is quite important. It's in beginner at the moment. You can put it into mid as well, and those 2 modes have stabilisation, but expert has none. And that makes it a lot more tricky to fly. So as you learn to fly, go through the modes, begin with beginner and go up to expert, and over a few flights you will improve and the model will improve with you, and that's a really nice feature. Stabilisation, I think, is needed on a model this small. It's only 400mm wingspan, so it can easily get buffeted by the wind. It's best to fly in non-windy conditions if you can, but if not, have a little bit of stabilisation on mid is normally the nicest to fly. It gives you a lot of control, but beginner if you want some nice chilled flying. If you want to do loops and rolls, go into expert mode. Though you can do some of those moves in mid. You can also do them all in beginner and mid using the aerobatics button. You press that once, and then to do a loop, pull back on the stick, or you can go left or right to do a roll after you've pressed the aerobatics button. And it just times out for a few moments, a few seconds, just to complete that maneuver. Make sure you have enough height to do that maneuver. The plane doesn't know how high it actually is. There you go, very simple, very effective and dedicated to the aircraft. And it comes out at 49 grams, and if we add the battery as well, 59 grams. So that is an incredibly light aircraft. It's even lighter than my 64 gram Sport Cub 500, which is slightly larger wingspan. So that falls below the 250 gram CAA limit for flying models, so you don't even have to register this. This is considered very, very safe, and of course it should be, although still treat it with respect. So to plug the power in and make sure that the plane initializes properly, you turn the transmitter on, then plug the battery in pretty quick, get the aircraft level, and that should level everything up. You can hear the stabilization in operation. Very carefully tuck your battery in and then clip that down. Ooh, it is tight in there. Oh, it's in. Wow, look at that stabilisation. We do need to just give it some throttle just to initialise it. Beep, beep. That is that little piece done, and now it should throttle up. And it does. Let's give it full throttle. So the prop didn't come off. And give it some rudder. Yeah, and central position is central rudder. And the elevators, they look pretty even, don't they? That's the elevators, they look pretty even. Yep. And finally, the ailerons. Doing lovely. This should just fly. Yeah. I found this is the easiest way to put the battery into the Spitfire. Put it in that way round so that it loops around, and then you can tuck all of that in and clip it down. That also gives you something to hang on to when you want to pull the battery out like that. I'm 8 o'clock over the field, trying to fly at the Spitfire. Now I've had a piece of undercarriage fall off, so I'm going to glue that on, see if it holds for the next flight.